It's time.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight.
Huh? Oh. Maybe tomorrow.
Tonight.
Tonight?
It's time for Tier 3.
Tonight.
And welcome everybody to the very first episode of Tier 3 Tonight, a brand new show for 2024 that will be bringing you the all-encompassing coverage of the LCS Challengers League qualifiers in 90 minutes. My name is, of course, Hawk, and joining me is my amazing partner in crime, co-host, and all-around right-hand man, Grapes. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. If you are just joining us on LCS Challengers, looking for some reruns or some VODs of the OQs, we're not going to get exactly that, but I promise this will be worth your time. We're going to get a ton of incredible coverage of the Tier 3 space. We hope you enjoy it.
One could say this could even be better than reruns and VODs. Of course, there are a lot of those up on other community channels as well, but what we'll be doing here over the next 90 minutes is walking through and breaking down all of the action from the previous weekend's qualifier matches. From highlight packages and analysis to previews of the next week and even some fun content segments thrown in between, we will be bringing everything that you need to get that qualifiers fix all split long.
And even though there's no official live broadcasts of these NACL qualifiers happening on the weekends, you can make sure to tune in here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific to make sure you are all caught up and to catch some extra content with us and your favorite Tier 3 players.
It's going to be a really fun time. We've got so much to talk about here in the Tier 3 space. And Grapes, I don't think we should waste any more time. Maybe we just get right in to an overview of the format. If you're a new fan or you just forgot, we are in the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. We're running with the same format as the last couple of years from 2022 up through now. The tournament format, it has 2 tournaments per split in which teams compete for championship points to try to promote into the LCS Challengers League. Each tournament begins with the 32-team Swiss Open Qualifier round, which is what happened this past weekend, before progressing into a double elimination best-of-3 group stage.
Yeah, and after that, top 2 teams in every one of those groups will make their way over to the knockout stage, where they will play for a single elimination bracket to win more qualification points and ultimately crown a champion. Then we'll do it all again. We'll play 2 qualifiers, 2 of these cycles throughout both spring and summer, with the winner of the second qualifier in each cycle, as well as the top 3 other earners in points, making it to the NACL promotion tournament, where they'll play against the bottom 2 teams in the NACL for a chance to compete in the Challengers League next summer, or this summer, I should say. And just like the NACL, we will be on the live patch, and Fearless Draft will be in iteration for the entirety of the group stage and playoffs.
So a lot of fun stuff to look forward to, and we've only had one weekend go by as well. And let's take a look at how teams got here for this weekend. Out of 40 initial applicants, the top 24, based on average rank, are automatically qualified for the Swiss stage. The remaining 16 were then narrowed down to 8 by the qualifier selection committee to give us our 32 teams for the first Open Qualifier.
And then after that, the selection committee then seeded the 32 remaining teams, which gave us our final seeds for the first NACL qualifier. Here are the results from that committee seeding process. A lot of familiar names, some new ones that are here, and they are all, equally ready to come in. Obviously, the games happen. We're going to break it down kind of chronologically, so make sure that suspense is kept intact. But Hawk, a lot of really memorable names here on this list.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of names that maybe you've seen before if you've been around the space. Winthrop University, Team Fish Taco right there at the top of the standings. A lot of new names as well. So many great and talented players across the board, though. And again, we'll be going through round by round. So whether or not you know the results, you're able to get that experience just as if the games were unfolding right before you.
Yeah, we'll have 5 full rounds of Swiss, and obviously with the crazy nature of the Open Qualifiers, with 16 games happening at the same time, it was impossible, I should say, for our observing team to grab VODs of all the games. However, thanks to a very talented team of community broadcasters who work day in and day out to record, cast, and upload recordings of almost all of the games played this weekend, we'll be able to walk you through all the major action that happened here on Tier 3 tonight. And before we go into our Round 1 overview, we do want to just shout out really quickly, specifically Mad Magical and Running the Rift, led by Sherv, who did so much to help broadcast all of the OQs and basically is the only reason we're able to have a show here covering everything today.
Yeah. A massive shout out to all those people that are doing their part as well to cover the Tier 3 space, because all together we can still make sure that there's still so many great storylines to talk about. But Grapes, maybe we take a look at what we had in store in this Open Qualifier. Enough talk. Let's dive into some matches, starting with round 1. Each of these games were, of course, determined by seeding, with the 1 seed Winthrop University playing the 32 seed Chaotic Blaze, etc., all the way down to Purdue Northwest up against Imgutis' Saplings in our 16-17 match.
I don't know why we should waste any more time. Let's go watch some games. Let's see what happened here in round 1 of the Swiss, and we'll start off by checking out some of our top seeds. The first match we're going to look at, Winthrop number 1, Chaotic Blaze 32. We're 21 minutes into this one, and look at Denethor on the Gwen. Looks like he's in trouble. Absolutely not. Ending this game 8-1-11 as Winthrop making quick work here of their first round of Swiss.
Yeah, a player that we had a lot of expectations for, a team that we had a lot of expectations for, and, you know, unsurprisingly, perhaps, getting the win, but Team Fish Taco, likewise, gonna get it done. And look at Hoarder in his first game, his first Open Qualifier as the starter for this high-profile team, getting a kill with a really nice Counter-Strike, moving on, picking up another one, going 7-1-3 in that game, Graves.
Now over to our number 3 seed in Aporia. They're facing a little bit of more pushback against Apex Flame Horizon. We were even in kills at this point, but then now, look at Samikin here on the Yone, a newer player to this space, but absolutely takes off in this game, landing that double knock-up and getting Aporia their first win.
And of course, it wasn't just the top seeds rolling through the bottom seeds as well. Look, we got to keep up with all the popular teams, right? But we also had some other ones as well, even maybe some upsets, Grapes, as in our 8 against 25 seed game, Gentle Hearts Gaming up against the Abandoned Kittens. Our Kittens tore through this first game, down 3K. Gentle Hearts, they looked to make a play to break the mid-tier 2, but they were stopped in their tracks.
Yeah, look at this. You already saw that great shockwave out of Playmaker, and then Lojaz there on the Jarvan coming in, making quick work. You see the Olaf running down. When I was originally watching this, I thought that was where, you know, that's what they were going for, but they didn't even need it. Just the mid jungle here for Abandoned Kittens taking over to start this game. 10-2, 16 minutes in, and another over-aggressive spot right here for them. Gentle Hearts, they know they're down. They're just trying to break open this tier 2, but as you see, just getting incredibly punished for it, as the Abandoned Kittens doing pretty well here in this first round.
Yeah, and again, that is an upset. Number 25 taking down number 8. A good start for a team that there were not a lot of expectations surrounding. And immediately following that as well, we have the Sleepy Kittens up again, or rather the Sleepy Collars up against 23 seed Redemption, which even in the first 10 minutes, Zhao Danny, I mean, that Pop Blossom was so nice for the Sleepy Collars.
Yeah, and it looks like the EP Callers continue to go really aggressive and maybe a little bit to their detriment. Excelsis goes in, doesn't really get a ton of damage onto Kongzi, and that is the beginning of the end here for Redemption. You see Blonde to come in here with a nice flank on the Lissandra, and the Sleepy Callers suddenly finding themselves behind against a number 23 seed in the first round of Swiss.
Yeah, and Redemption, one of those teams that was a bit of a hot topic on the committee, Grapes. I know both you and I were on the committee. Some people were a bit excited about this team. So them being able to find, I mean, just another nice fight around the Baron in what was a very close game. Only up about 3,000 at the time of this fight when it started. Managing to use that to secure the game. Really, really nicely done by them. And now we can move on to our final game that we're going to be breaking down, at least in depth here in round 1. Polestar up against the AM All-Stars.
Yeah, you see right now, Kryra alongside his double marksman bot lane, able to get a really good start to this game. But the All-Stars, they're able to stabilize a little bit, mostly off of this guy right here, the big Gnar Antcliff coming down from the top lane. Take a shout out as well to Alexander on the Soraka, keeping everyone alive and getting Amateur All-Stars in the lead here in this game.
Yeah, and they were able to, keep things competitive. Look at that scoreboard, 17-17 at 36 minutes. It's back and forth, but a huge Shurima shuffle from Insanes, the 16-year-old player. What a nice play, able to take them down, and Thrall tried to save it on Varus, and actually did save it on Varus Graves.
That's a Jack show on the Varus, by the way.
Yeah.
Going that tank build, a little bit disgusting, not gonna lie here, but it is Pulse picking up their first win of the Swiss stage, and that was a lot of the big games that happened here in round 1, Hawk. We could take a look at all of the results that happened in that first game of the day. Most of it pretty according to chalk.
Yeah, and I mean, not a whole lot of surprises. We tried to break down some of those upsets. We're going to try to keep it trucking right along, because Graves, we got 5 rounds to cover, 4 remaining, but we're going to try to give you a taste all the way through. So maybe we might as well pull up our round 2 overview, our matchups, as Abandoned Kittens, again, our 25 seed. They were the lowest seed to win the first round with their upset against the number 8. So they naturally have to play against the number 1 seed, Winthrop University, with high seeds in the 1-0 bracket playing the low seeds. And likewise, if you don't know how a Swiss format works, you always play a team with the same record as your own.
Yeah, and this was the last game of the first day of the Open Qualifiers. These happened on Saturday. The teams that win in this 1-0 bracket will have only one more game that they have to win in order to qualify, where if you lose in that 0-1, you have to win out all 3 of your games, have to be W's on Sunday in order to have a bit of a chance. But let's get into the games here right now. Starting off with a very competitive one between our number 7 seed Lotus and 12 seed UCI, another very controversial team that we had here on the committee, Hawk. They were all over the place in ballots, and UCI and Lotus decided to kind of split the map here in this one early. You see Mike Young ganking Porsche up in the top lane, and Frost Forest really commanding the bot side of the map, trying to help out his bot lane, the Senna Tom, with Psycho and Mixture.
Yeah, and this was a back-and-forth game for a lot of it. You already mentioned that split jungle focus, but really, what seemed like it would tip the scales was the mid advantage. Senna, on the way, on the new champion, had a really, really nice game for himself. On this bottom side dive, managing to try to turn around the play, and UCI, they were up a couple thousand gold, up a couple of kills, but look at this. Lotus getting in there, and Mixture Senna doing the damage over the top to bring the game back for Lotus.
I mean, a big shout out to Aljun there as well on the Azir. A huge shuffle. Senna got just absolutely obliterated in that fight. But it wasn't the end of the game. It did go all the way to 42 minutes, which, of course, you got to late game. That's a great thing for a Senna. Finishing 11-1-10 Mixture, including this quadra kill with the Elder Dragon buff to get the second win of the game of the OQs to our number 7 seed.
Yeah, that is what we call a well-scaled Senna, but we also got another competitive matchup, BlackRock Esports versus Wang, where Wang found a lot. I mean, look at this. They're up so many kills over BlackRock. They were at a seeding disadvantage. This would be an upset if Wang is able to do it, but BlackRock still somehow kept the gold so close, Graves.
Yeah, I mean, a huge fight there by Debonair. Ended up having a great game on the Akali. Tries to go aggressive again, but you do not cross Robbie Bob under that turret. The Sun Disc really helping out BlackRock and the rest of them. And after getting that one kill, kind of shifted the momentum. Even though Wang are still up 10 kills, BlackRock really controlled the game after this point.
Yeah, they really did. And, I mean, Robbie on the Azir. Maybe slight spoiler alert, that might be a running theme throughout this show, is Robbie on Azir generally led to good things, Graves.
Yeah, I mean, they got a Baron, as you see here. Eventually end the game. You don't see these games too often, where a team is up that many kills. I remember looking at the scoreboard at the end of this one in the results channel of the Discord, and I saw the kills not matching up with who won. That confused me a little bit, but after watching this game, makes a lot of sense. BlackRock going 2-0 to start off day number 1.
Yeah, really nicely done from them. How G2 Esports of them to just suddenly win the game in 30 minutes, even when down so many kills. But as this clip does wrap up, Grapes, we can maybe just start to talk about our next game briefly. We are going to be moving on to Ole Miss versus Reluminate. Ole Miss, another one of our pre-tournament favorites, but there was not much to see here on their part, as at the start of this clip, Shimmer 7-0 on Viego.
Yeah, it was a lot of the same, honestly, and that's why we decided to just jump 16 minutes into this one. If you are an Ole Miss fan, please avert your eyes. If you are a Shimmer fan, eat up, because this was one of the best League of Legends games I've ever seen from a jungler, taking over this game start to finish. And even though Shogo got a little bit ahead, had a good counter matchup, Draven into the Lucian, it did not matter. You see here, Ole Miss, they have a numbers advantage. They're going for a fight, but you forget that one of the players on the other side is Shimmer.
Yeah, and it's just so hard when you're down this much gold. The Viego doing everything 1v4. They can't even kill him. The shielding, the healing, the possessions, the resets. Shogo tries to clean it up, but it's just not enough. And what a well-played game. Reluminate, another one of those mid-low 20s, high teens type teams. Contentious on the committee, finding an upset here in round 2.
They ended the day 2-0 after taking down Ole Miss, looking very strong. We do have another clip from this results of games here, taking a look at some of the results in the 0-1 bracket with Clown Gaming taking on Oklahoma Christian University. So we could take a look at that right now, I believe. That game definitely got very wild, I'll say that.
Yeah, it most certainly did. As, I mean, This one was a little crazy. Two teams coming in 0-1, both really want to find a win, don't want to go down 0-2. And Oklahoma Christian found a bunch of really good early fights, going up about 4,000 gold at 20 minutes. But it was back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, they were finally able to lose some pressure there finally when Clown Gaming were able to get that second Drake, as you see right here. But Oklahoma Christian weren't out of it just yet. You see here 15-8. That is a massive gold lead as well as kill lead for them. After this dragon, another fight takes place, and with the ultimate, it looks like Emps going in with the Corki package momentarily. And take a look at Paragon in this fight on the Aphelios. Doesn't have the best KDA. They definitely know that. They try to dive him, and mission kind of successful. He's able to get a couple kills before he goes down.
Yeah, he was, and a big package from Emps. I mean, just these fights were bedlam in this game. 26 minutes in, no idea who's gonna win, and it was still at a standstill at 31. But this time, Emps got taken down after the package. They managed to clean up a lot of kills on the side of Oklahoma Christian, but without their mid laner, it's not quite enough for them to find that decisive advantage, meaning we're gonna go even further, Grapes. Clown Gaming, now with an Ocean Soul, surely this is enough.
Yeah, I mean, this game was crazy. Clown Gaming kind of living up to their names a little bit, putting on a bit of a fiesta, if you could say. Very aggressive stance there by OC. They use all their ultimates to try to dive in. They get basically nothing, though, and with those guns, auto Paragon, getting the Gravitum to slow people down, it just were able to clean up a couple, and that led, actually, to the end of the game with Clown Gaming picking up their first win. And we could take a look once again at our round 2 results. Reluminate over Ole Miss was the only upset in that group of 1-0 games, which we did see. And that means that Ole Miss will be going down into the 1-1 bracket to face off against the Carolina Reapers, who took down the 17 seed in Goodis Saplings.
And how about Reluminate playing really well, being at that 2-0 point so far? A really great day 1 for them. And a lot of really exciting games. I mean, we've only got so much time. We had to fly through them quickly, but a lot of great action, a lot of great fights. And Grapes, I believe we have a bit of content as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of teams at 1-1 as we wrap up the first day, including the University of California Irvine, who we watched play against Lotus. Their mid laner Cinna, despite the loss, had a great game on one of the newest champions, Hui. And Hawk, you got the chance to talk to him after that to break down his performance.
And welcome, everyone, to the Hawk-Eyed View, where I am joined, of course, by Cinna, aka Cinnamon Bread, the mid laner of UCI. At this point in the show, UCI has come out of the gate swinging with a big first win over Oklahoma Christian Esports. Obviously, where we're sitting right now, we can't tell you all the results of all the games. But, Cinna, I just really quick want you to cast your mind back to this situation where we stand right now, right? Where we have just completed the first round of games. You're 1-0, and you're about to go against a strong Lotus team in the second round. How are you feeling, and what's going through your mind?
Honestly, I don't think our game 1 was streamed or spectated at all, so no one really got to see what happened in that game. But honestly, it was a lot more shaky than we expected. So personally for me, I wasn't like really confident going into game 2, but it's still good that we won game 1. All in all, I'm happy about the result, but not too happy about it, if that makes sense.
You went for the Hui counterpick, R5 against Aljun's Azir. I have some screenshots that I'm going to throw up on the screen in post-production of your CS numbers at both 5 minutes and 10 minutes, where you're about 10 CS ahead at 5 minutes, and you're almost 20 CS ahead at 10 minutes. So things looked pretty good.
I think Azir will always be able to like scale in pretty well if the player is decent. Like that's one of the strengths of the champ. He has like a very safe laning phase as well as really good scaling and side push later on. But I think Hui also has a really good scaling and laning phase to make up for it. Like I also can scale into the game well and impact the fights with my champ as well. So I was fine picking Hui here.
I want to pick your brain as to kind of what was going through your mind in these moments. Specifically, I have both of the fights around the Void Grubs, the brand new objective, and we have a winning mid matchup as we already established, right? You can see we're paused about 7.5 minutes into the game, and things are going pretty well. Elated roams down, starts it up. You, Mike Young, are first. The Void Grub take itself is pretty simple, and bit of an unfortunate situation in the bot lane happens here. I don't know if you care to comment on that either, but Cinna, on the other side of the map, you get a couple kills.
I remember walking back to lane and thinking Vi and Azir could go on me, so I was slightly worried about that. But because my teammates were near and we also had Nocturnal, I was just taking the greedier route, which is generally not always correct. It could not be correct here either, but it worked out right. I think what happens is in the sequence is that Azir scoops me in line bush towards the Vi, and then the Vi Qs backwards.
Oh.
So she misses me, and then they ult and they don't have enough damage. But then in the moment after I got Vi ulted, I immediately flash comboed the Azirs, which is how I killed him.
So I'm going to skip ahead to about here, where it's the Grubs again. Look, your jungler is just slaying the Void Grubs. This time, you all are committing resources to the top side of the map. And, you know, your bot lane is getting the red side bot lane experience. I feel like we can't blame them for this one. How did you know that this was a winning fight with your jungler and top laner both committed to the Void Grub so early on?
Well, initially the first play was that my bot said they needed cover, but we wanted 6 grubs, right? It's a pretty strong asset. Was it 5 or 6? So then I just said, okay, I can clear my wave, or I'll sack my wave and then cover bot one wave, because I think protecting the cross map is important, or the trade. So then I just went to protect it, and then the enemy team overextended pretty hard. So then my jungler Mike, he was like, oh, we should fight this, I'm coming down, and then it just worked out like this.
Now we get into the point in the game. Obviously, it doesn't end up being a win. I know you mentioned like an oopsie moment. Do we want to talk about that one, or is it just like, oh no, don't relive it?
I was definitely our main carry at the time, like our main driving force in the win. I was like, in my head, I was really focused and thinking all the time about how to play these fights and like how we can win these fights if I just play this certain way, which would be like saving my flash for the engage and baiting my flash for the engage and like wiping them after they dive in. And then for a moment I like blanked out, and then suddenly I flash forward in their face, killed myself. Yeah, I don't really know. Even in the moment it was a blur. Like when I flashed in, I didn't even realize like, wow, I'm in there, huh?
You have, in my opinion, one of the more iconic names in the scene, because to me it is so random. Why cinnamon bread?
That's so funny because it is really just random. Like my name was never, or it was cinnamon bread just because I lost the bet to one of my friends and they changed my name to cinnamon bread. And they didn't change
bread
it
was
to, like,
on a bet?
yeah, they didn't change it to like something really mean, like unusable name, because they were being nice. So they were just like, oh, okay, cinnamon bread. And then I just stuck with it because I didn't mind it too much. And then the Golden Guardians incident happened and then my name was already out there, so I've just been sticking with it since.
Cinna, also, I just hope you know your first name is the same as my first name. I'm also Benjamin, so I like both your names. I think you're really based for that. Personally.
Thank you.
But, yeah, no bias. But Cinna, thank you so much for joining me. Let's get back to the show. And thank you so much to Cinna once again for sitting down to chat with me the other day and go over what was a difficult game, unfortunately, for UCI, but I think it's so interesting getting a player's perspective on both the new champion as well as their in-game thought process. But, Grapes, let's keep on moving to round 3. We're on to day 2 of the Swiss stage, where we have the beginning of our elimination and qualification games. Teams at 2-0 would qualify into the GSL stage with a win, while teams at 0-2 are out with a loss.
Yeah, we're better than to start at the top of the board with our number 1 seed, Winthrop University, try to stop the red-hot Reluminate, who just came off of a win over Ole Miss with their jungler Shimmer. And right off the bat, you see Shimmer right back to work, going for a gank on the top lane, surely going to work well. Denethor, oh, he's low. Yeah, we can keep going, and oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's a disaster. It's 5-0 to Eagles in that lead. I think hockey's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, that's really tough. 9-2 now is the kill score. You hate to see the minionless tower dive, and I totally see what Reluminate was going for. They could qualify if they just take them down, but unfortunately, it is Trickster Wakau's Jax that goes crazy. It's Denethor's Cassante that goes crazy. Wakao ended the game 11-1-8 as Winthrop University, our number 1 seed, ends up going 3-0 and clinching their spot in the GSL.
Yeah, just another great fight here as well. I think it was a clean ace here for Winthrop. They looked very good throughout the first 3 days of Swiss, and yeah, just capped off by that flash stun out of Wakao. He was very, very strong in this game. Had a very solid start to the Swiss bracket. So Winthrop are in. Let's see if our number 2 team is as well. With heavy hitters, Team Fish Taco against Pulse. It's a Spider on Dragon. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a disaster for TFT, but watch this. The Scat of the Week lands out of Sudsy. A double bubble from Snow 2 on the Nami, and then watch this. Levitate. Woo! Slides right through, picks up a couple kills.
Always love to see nice and clean Lucian gameplay right there. So nice. But, Grapes, that's not the only clean gameplay that we can get this game as well. As check out Reppy. Nice shockwave over the wall. Limo fortunately had the Xin Zhao ulti going, though, to stay alive, meaning the damage follow-up isn't there. They're not quite able to clean it up. Levitate yet again popping off on the Lucian. Good shockwave doesn't mean a thing against a nice buffer.
Levitate ending that game 11-2-3, and that's going to bring us to the closest matchup we had in the 2-0 games. Number 5 CCG, number 6 BlackRock. It should be close, right? But maybe falling apart a little bit here. Robbie Bob on the Corki is where you got to have your eyes for the entirety of this game. Number 3 picks up his 2nd kill here. We're going to fast forward a little bit to see him pick up a 3rd. You know, this new champion, or not, with these new items, Corki is absolutely busted, and getting him to a 3-0 start is definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah, the champion scales ad infinitum, so when you get going early, it's just a problem. And now, Red, I mean, just able to follow up so well as well. Crimson tries a lot on that Gwen, but look at Robbie. I mean, it's just too much. And Red on the Varus steals a dragon, able to close any thoughts about this game. Nice Pop Blossom right there from, I want to point out, Pockus on the Nico support this game. A little bit of fun there as well. Robbie 15-0-5 on the Corki to clinch the spot in groups.
We'll head on to a couple matchups in the 1-1 side of the bracket. We have a collegiate rematch here with ISU taking on Purdue Northwest, and we've got 2 ex-teammates up in the top lane with Prank versus Meslo, and it was going very much towards the player who played a lot of top lane when they were together on Grandview. That's 1 solo kill, make it a 2nd, and let's make it a 3rd as well. It was not a good time to be a Karma up in the top lane.
Yeah, maybe echoes of some Hugh Fest and some 66 right here, Grapes, as Purdue Northwest feels like they have ISU's number whenever they play each other. You know, Klexo on the Yone as well, looking incredibly strong, but really, it is that Rumble doing so much work. Purdue Northwest, really nicely played game from them.
Yeah, watch Klexo right here. It was a good start to the game, I should say, here for PNW. They have a ton of kills, looking like a lot of the same old stuff from them after Klexo and Prank go absolutely off. But it did go sideways a bit as Winking on the Varus getting caught out by Drew Dozer here. And that signaled the start of the end. Purdue, despite winning 2 series at 66 against ISU earlier on in the fall, this time take a loss to the Redbirds.
Yeah, and what a nice comeback. I feel like ISU always a team that manages to do this, pull a rabbit out of a hat, no matter how far behind. A great pick from Drew Dozer to stop that well-played game. And now, it's the Sleepy Callers versus the Abandoned Kittens, one of our upset teams, up against a team that had high expectations, both sitting at 1-1, and both very cute logos, as Baz's Ash gonna get 2 kills early on in the game for the Sleepy Callers to get off to a nice start.
Yeah, speaking of nice starts, Zhao Danny, 3-man shuffle. I mean, this seems like Sleepy Caller is just going to run away with this one, right? They have 3 kills here. They're looking for more, but take a look at Solidified here on the Gwen. We'll dive in, take out that big carry and Baz, and that was the start of a great game from the Abandoned Kittens top laner. Solidified really took off from this point, and all of a sudden, we got ourselves a close one.
Yeah, absolutely. Very close game. And one last ditch effort. Sleepy Callers, they go for broke. They get taken down. Abandoned Kittens, a nice fight in mid to take control. And now 8,000 gold in the lead with only their base to stand in for the Sleepy Callers. They cannot solidify it on the Gwen. What a flank. What a lot of damage that is. It's Abandoned Kittens, after 3 rounds of Swiss Grapes, stand at 2-1.
A lot of good stuff to say about this team as a whole, specifically Solidified and then Devin down in the bot lane there, ending 8, 4, and 9. Here are the results from overall round 3. You saw Winthrop, Team Fish Taco, and BlackRock all qualify in. Aporia took down Lotus. They were the other team that made it into the group stage here in this 3rd round.
Yeah, and we also, unfortunately, say goodbye to 4 teams as well as Mgutus Saplings, Oklahoma Christian, UCSD, and Kosa Gamers were unfortunately eliminated after 3 rounds of play. But Grapes, let's waste no time. Let's get into our 4th round of games. More qualifications, more eliminations to go through, and even some exciting 3-0 matches, starting things off with Winthrop University against BlackRock Esports at the top of the table.
I mean, this game was a very close one for a while. We're going to jump in pretty late because there were just a ton of team fights, but at the end of the day, as we head into this highlight package, very similar in terms of gold between Winthrop and BlackRock, our number 1 seed, against our number 6 seed. We take a look at that highlight package here, and once again, seeding is important as well for Swiss. Winning these games, even though you've already qualified, is going to be big. We're 19 minutes into this one, and already, we're back and forth. 5-5, just 1 kill over here. But then BlackRock decides to force a Baron, and Pockets finds the engage onto Sword. That's 1 kill, and they're going to make it a couple more.
Yeah, they are. And hey, Grapes, I want you to look at the scoreboard again. How about Robbie on that Corky? He's 8-3-4 now, 34 minutes into the game. Yet another play. Winthrop on the Baron. They secure it, but Kitsuo leading the charge and making plays, finding Chookies, finding an advantage despite Winthrop having that Baron. It's BlackRock that stood tall in this game, Grapes, and they're contesting those Collegiate Titans.
Yeah. I mean, Winthrop's somebody that everybody thought were going to be at least top 2. Everyone on selection committee had him up there. They lose their game in round 4. And we're going to take a look at the other 3-0 matchup between Team Fish Taco and Aporia. Another cross-map situation. Levitate had a really bad level 1 against Lynx and Robex here. That gave away 2 kills to Aporia, but Limo able to respond nicely and get Hoarder on the Rumble very far ahead.
Yeah, and from that point forward, I mean, Team Fish Taco, things looking a little bit dire for them as Aporia just have so many tools. Not even a good shuffle from Sudsy can save it as the Zonia's Hourglass comes out. And Team Fish Taco, they're fighting back. They're finding kills. They made things messy. But this game got stalled out to an Elder.
Yeah, take a look. Elder fight here. In comes the package, and oh, what is that? A steal coming away from TFT. Surely that means they win, right? And unfortunately, that was the end. A big team fight despite the Elder going down. Lynx having a great game there, and that was a win for Aporia.
Yeah, and now another couple teams. Pulse, we've talked about them already, but how about Morningstar White Grapes? We haven't gotten too much of a chance to talk about this team. Team pretty much made up of solo queue players. Not very high expectations coming into the tournament, but sitting at 2-1. And look at Yuchin in the top lane on the Olaf, finding not 1, not 2, but 3 solo kills onto Cozy. What a performance on the Olaf.
and then they send the whole squad. He's able to kill 2 anyway. I mean, this was a matchup that I think many people would have been excited for. Pulse was a team that was very hyped up coming in, but off of Yutsin on the Olaf, it just was no contest whatsoever. They pick up an ace here, and that is Morningstar White, a team that was on the outside looking in almost on the committee that first round of voting. They make their way into the group stage in round number 4. We'll take a look now at UCI versus Wang. We're going to look at Gorica's POV because we didn't have the official VOD anywhere else, but he had a very solid game here, playing Senatom Kench alongside Light Pulse, and look at this. Is this a big kill? No! The W just barely misses. That could have been a really big fight here for Gorica, but UCI still keeping things close.
Yeah, and I mean, on the Baron, it's Wang that started it up, but it is UCI that comes away with the prize. Gorica on the Senna, still doing so much work. And we saw at the very beginning that Mike Young was able to secure it as well. And UCI, a team that was also a bit of a hot topic, make it into the group stage.
Now we head into an elimination game. EP Callers, they've lost 2 games. They were upset twice. Will it happen again against the number 32 seed? It's not working too well for them right now as they fail that dive to start things off. But they're not going to give up. The Sleepy Callers, they're going to come back. They have a nice engage right here off of an overextension. And look at Diesel on the Aatrox here as well, doing some big damage despite being a bit put far behind at the start.
Aatrox, one of those champions that you can never catch out, but look, the red carpet gets laid out. So much damage. The shockwave, not enough. Chaotic Blaze. How about this team? No one expected them to even take a game, and here they are at the nexus of Sleepy Callers, the number 11 seed at the beginning of the tournament, getting defeated, Grapes, by the 32 team.
Hold on, not yet. Look at this. Looks like Sleepy Callers coming back a little bit. They defend the first time. But that was it. Diesel gets caught in the mid lane. Detro goes down. And finally, that's the end. The number 30 seed, the seed in all of Swiss by the committee, now has their 2nd win after taking down Sleepy Callers, who get knocked out in round 4.
And they're going to move on to round 5 at 2-2. Of course, those are the bubble matches, the ones for all the marbles. Some other notable results as well. You can see the Nameless taking down the Golden Grubbians in a 1-2 match, knocking out another highly seeded team. Clown Gaming as well, surviving our 26th seed heading into the tournament, taking down another collegiate team in Bethany Esports. A lot of things to be excited about, Grapes, looking at these matchup results. Of course, a bunch of other teams on the other side qualifying. We already talked about Morningstar and UCI. You can also see some of those on the left.
Yeah, we head into our round 5 preview, just taking a look at what the matchups were on the last round of the Swiss stage. Interestingly enough, 1 seed and 2 seed were both defeated there in round 4, which means we have 3 seed Aporia versus 6 seed BlackRock in that 4-0 match to claim the top seed heading into the group stage. And Hawk, let's not waste any time. Let's start talking about what happened in that one.
Yeah, let's play the package. Neither of our top 2 seeded teams in this game, but that doesn't make it any less exciting as Aporia, they try to show up to the Grubs and they get punished. A nice fight from BlackRock to find 3 kills.
Yeah, this was a bit of a one-sided game, which always sucks when we look at these 4-0 matches. You expect things to be super competitive. The high rated bot lane here for Rovex didn't work out too well. Kitsuo gets that kill. Kitsuo had a great game here in this one. Had a couple where he struggled a little bit despite his team getting to the 4-0 match at this point. But him, alongside Robbie Bob, once again, that old trite but true duo coming through.
Yeah, Robbie Bob, a name we have said a lot on this show, Grapes, and with good reason. Remember when I said earlier good things happen when this champion got Azir? Yeah, this game was another example, as we can just fast forward our way to the winning moment. BlackRock rather, going 5-0. They are the number 1 overall seed approaching the GSL stage.
And a lot of really exciting players to talk about here. Kitsu and Robbie, obviously, but also some newer faces in the bot lane, specifically with Anori B. And after that 4-0 matchup, after they ended up sweeping, we ended up going to talk to BlackRock's Anori B about how the Swiss stage went overall, and also just to learn the story a little bit of one of the newer faces on BlackRock Esports. All right. I'm here with the 80 carry for BlackRock Esports, Inori B, after him and his team just went 5-0 in the first Swiss stage of the NACL Qualifiers. Inori B, first of all, congratulations on the win. I want to, first of all, just have you talk through the emotions after going 5-0. First time you've ever done that here in NOQ. What was that like being alongside your team?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Actually, I was really excited and kind of like surprised with 5-0 because this is like my second split. I started playing OQs around spring OQ2, and I think it has been a year, and I think I have not seen someone go 5-0 with like this little time and competitive, and I feel like really happy, but I have much more to prove, so people don't doubt me.
Yeah, you had to put in the work in game number 5. You were down quite a bit in the laning phase, I would say at least. But what was it like in the comms, knowing that even though you were maybe not super ahead in the game, but like the rest of your team kind of had your back?
It makes me feel happy because when I don't have to, I just have to, all of us as a team, like through ego and just play to win. So are all the pieces like fit together, and whoever gets ahead is the carry. So we really don't have a strong side or a weak side. It's just we just play to win and we just drop ego, even if I have to drop 60 CS down.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff. Let's go back a little bit to the summer split, where I think you had a really good summer overall on Teamless Revenge. But how are you feeling overall as an individual, as an AD carry at the end of 2023? And then what happened in the offseason that led to you playing with this group of 5 that now finally has made it to the top of the groups?
Uh, for summer, I felt like I improved a lot thanks to my teammate because we didn't have a coach, we didn't have no one believed in us. It was just a power of friendship. I was a random, everyone was a random. So proving myself and getting the spot means a lot to me because it finally means that I can actually be the talk of one of the best ADCs in amateur, and I want to really work towards that goal to becoming the best. For all season, I just want to thank Mesmerism. He's the one who guided me, ACL, found my strengths, made it my strong point, my champion pool, made it realize that how I'm a threat on strong side ADCs. But it came to an end where I had to leave the team because I failed. I failed the expectation through playoffs and ACL, and I needed like a reality check, so I had to leave the team. And I got an offer. Me and Pockets, we were alone. I knew me and Pockets would have become the best, so me and Pockets joined with Decoy. We tried to find out mid jungle duels, and my manager managed to find out Kitsu and Robbie Bob, and that was when we started playing together. We 3-0 Mirage Alliance first scrims, and we felt like the vibes were really good.
Oh, against an NACL team. Very, very impressive stuff. I know something you mentioned on your socials a lot is the idea of this Linsanity run. I know it's like a word that you always like to use. Do you want to break down why that's become like such a popular catchphrase for you? Were you a big Knicks fan growing up?
Uh, to be honest, I'm not really a basketball guy. I'll be honest.
Oh, really?
Yes, I just liked it because I was just thinking of characters that were Asian, right? And they're like underdogs. And I was thinking, because Yao Ming is not an underdog, so I was
That's
like,
true.
Jeremy Lin, right? Sounds catchy. And then Linsanity sound catchy. I just started using the phrase. And recently I just figured out someone was actually named Linsanity that played pro. So I didn't actually know that.
Oh yeah, that was like 2017 or something. That was a while ago. So I feel like you've kind of taken that mantle at least for now. So good for you there. Taking a look at your group stage right now, you got some pretty heavy hitters, especially because some big important teams that were seeded very highly went 3-2 in the Swiss stage. How are you feeling against Team Fish Taco and CCG in your group?
I think Team Fish Taco I'm more used to because I played against Levitate so many times during my rookie split that
True.
like it's like me and him are destined to meet each other every single OQ. So it comes to a point where I'm really confident in like taking against Levitate again. I played with him a couple times. He improved drastically, but I also improved. So I want to see like how far like this rivalry can go. For CCG, I feel like the team is like not a threat because their ADC is like semi-retired. The mid laner, Robbie Bob is just like so much better. So like, I
Okay.
feel like CGG's. It just depend on whoever can like don't throw, and it's just like even matchup between the overall.
All right. Well, I'm excited to watch that group. It's definitely one that we have our eyes on here on Tier 3 tonight. But Inori B, thank you so much for joining us here for this interview. Really quickly before you go, if you have one message you want to share with the community about yourself, who you are, and why people should root for you, the floor is all yours.
My name is Inori B. My real name is Johnny Trung, and I'm 18 years old. I'm a rookie for Blackrock Esports, and people should root for me because I'm one of the best ADC in the amateur, up and coming, and so far the best Draven main in amateur. No one can match me on that champion, and you should be rooting for me.
Some bold words. The best Draven in NA amateur, self-proclaimed Inori B. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Anorbi again. I think it's so funny that he called himself the best upcoming ADC in amateur, walked it back a little bit, and then committed. But Grapes, let's keep on moving. Our 3-1 matches, where it is Morningstar White trying to find a win over Winthrop, who just stumbled. And remember that name, Yushin, that we talked about earlier? Yeah, you might want to remember that, Grapes, because he got a couple of kills in this early game.
Yeah, this guy, very high-ranked challenger player. Most of those games on Fiora. You can see why. Just the clips that we're showing you right here. Another player that got a pocket pick here is Soul Never Die on the Talon. He obliterates Denethor in that fight. And another opportunity for Winthrop. And they, once again, fall just a little bit short here in this one. They go to 3-2 after being the #1 seed.
Yeah, and it's off the back as well of a backdoor. The game got a little bit messy despite Morningstar getting an advantage. But Soul and Yushin in particular, and this entire Morningstar team, very impressive to go 4-1 with Winthrop yet again stumbling. Now, Team Fish Taco, our #2 seed, can they bounce back against UCI as it's Gorica on the Draven picking up a couple kills early for UCI?
Yeah, Gorka down in CS. That doesn't matter, though, if you're into Draven Lucian matchup. I've heard a lot of coaches say that that's a matchup that they like, despite Lucian Nami being very strong. But, I mean, overall, very back-and-forth game, but this is, I think, an insane play here.
Look at this flank.
UCI
Look at
up
this
a little
flank.
bit, but look at Light Pulse. A 4-man Magnet Storm into the double stun, and Gorik with the Whirling Death to just clean it all up.
Now, that fight may have been super clean, but this game got crazy, Grapes. We had 2 Barons, a Hextech Soul, and an Elder Dragon, but after 33 minutes, University of California at Irvine, they managed to find the upset. They are yet another team to take down one of our top 2 seeds and advance to 4-1. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Cinnamon Bread as well after the interview, 16-4-10 on the Akali.
Heading into our next matchup, it is Ole Miss and Gentle Hearts, both at 3-1. And Shogo, this time playing Jin, different to Markson than we saw last time, but all the same in terms of dominance here, taking over this one already with 3 kills.
Yeah, Shogo, it's typical Ole Miss, but hey, Gentle Hearts, want to give them a little credit. Some nice fights around the mid lane like this with some over-aggression from the Sharks meant that they were able to get back into the game, this Gentle Hearts team, despite an up and down Swiss stage, showing a lot of promise going up against our #4 seed. But Grapes, it was not to last long.
Yeah, I mean, a very solid late game composition. You have Uncle Sam on the Seraphine. Shogo, once again, having a tremendous game, 9-2-4 at this point. And it would be Ole Miss eventually running away with this one after falling to Illuminate in round 2. They proved that you could still go and have a very strong day #2, and they bounce back really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be all of our games that at least we're going to cover directly for the 3-1 and 4-0 matches. But we now have the bubble matches, Grapes. These are the ones for all the marbles. Winners move on, losers go home. And it's Purdue Northwest getting a great advantage over Clown Gaming early on to find themselves in a favorable position.
Yeah, Clown, they answered back pretty well after getting punched in the mouth a little bit by Purdue. You can see they're still down in gold at this point. Damon's on the Lee Sin, having a really nice flank to find Klexo, and Winking trying his best to do a little bit more DPS, but Clown Gaming win that fight.
Yeah, and I mean, a really back and forth game. Both these marksmen want to give a huge shout out, Winking and Paragon, trading blow for blow in this game. And another messy one, another one that could have gone either way in some very high mechanic fights. You can see the flashes, the dashes coming out back and forth. It's a long clip, but in the end, Clown Gaming, our #26 seed, Grapes, pull away, and they are going to close out Purdue Northwest and move on to the group stage as the lowest seeded team to appear.
Head into another bubble matchup, this time between Illuminate, who we saw beat Ole Miss, and Abandoned Kittens, who have had a very solid start, and Speaking of, Reluminate actually going to get off on the right foot around the Grubbies, getting a couple kills there. But Abandoned Kittens, they answer back with a Baron.
Yeah, and it was a nice Baron at that, but Reluminate still found an answer to everything Abandoned Kittens were doing, it felt like. In fact, Reluminate controlled a gold advantage for the entire game, but guess what? Abandoned Kittens got the only lead that mattered, Grapes, as a huge Cataclysm comes out from Low Jazz, and they're able to finish this one off in style by grabbing the Nexus.
A great story there from the Abandoned Kittens. They make it all the way up. We'll talk about them a little bit later once we go into their group, but here are the full results for round number 5 of the Swiss stage. You see, outside of the top 16, a couple of teams making it in. You obviously saw Clown Gaming and Abandoned Kittens, but also shout out to the Pookie Bears, who took a win over Amateur All-Stars, and they will also be participating in the top 16.
Yeah, and ISU, Pulse, and Wang all ended Cinderellas. Some of our bottom-seeded teams there in the 2-2 matches unfortunately ended up dropping at the end. Still a really great showing for those teams, though, given the expectations surrounding them. But let's take a look now at the final Swiss stage standings. Grapes, a lot of surprises here, I think it's fair to say. I mean, how about seeds 25 and 26, Abandoned Kittens and Cloud Gaming making the GSL stage?
And having them in the same pool as Winthrop and Team Fish Taco is, I don't think, where anybody would have thought these teams would belong at this point. A big shout out to BlackRock, who did sweep their way through despite being the number 6 seed. And then you have some very, very dangerous teams in that 4-1 block as well.
Yeah, and again, how about Morningstar White, a team that, for the most part, nobody knew anything about. Really good showing. 4-1, some impressive wins on their warpath, and they're definitely a team, as well as the rest of them, that we're going to be looking out for in the GSL stage.
But we have another graphic as well, just showing the bottom of these finishers in Swiss. Always unfortunate. However, the good thing is, for every win that you pick up in this stage, even if you don't end up making it to the groups, that is 5 qualification points to potentially find your way into the promotion tournament if things go super well in the second time through. And as well as that, they still have the opportunity to play in that second qualifier, which happens in just a few weeks.
Yeah, and again, talking about teams that had a really nice showing despite not moving on to the GSL stage, can help you out as far as seeding. Like you said, it can help out as far as championship points, and it just leaves good taste in your mouth as we move on. But Grapes, now that we're all caught up on all 5 rounds of the Swiss stage, I also decided to catch up with the bottom lane of our surprise 3-2 performers, the Abandoned Kittens. We wanted to add a little twist, though, so I wanted to see what the hype surrounding this bottom lane was firsthand. I figured if they were pretty good, maybe they could carry someone like me. And I decided to play jungle and sit down with the Abandoned Kittens bot lane in a series I want to call River Hawk Talk. Okay, Phantom, when did you start playing League? When did you start playing League?
I started playing League in Season 14. My one friend recommended League of Legends, so I was down to try it. And I was like, this is the most, terrible game I've ever played. I never want to play this. And 3 months later, I was bored. I was like, I'm downloading League again. Wait, Evan, what did you main back in Season 4? Were you always an AC mid?
No, I played Pantheon top lane.
Yo.
Respect. Dude, I was that one bronze for Yasuo LeBlanc Lee Sin player who just didn't have hands.
Oh, dude, my first penta, I was silver. My first penta was on Yasuo.
Since I talked about getting a pentakill on Lee Sin, I was tempted to do that. Except for the fact that I played 1 game of him on this season, and he felt really bad to play to me.
Lee Sin's so bad, and why did our jungler pick it in OQs?
What is OP on this season in bot lane?
Well, I think the cat's already out of the bag after the 5 games we played. Definitely Varus. Varus is nuts right now.
I guess I'm a Varus OTP. I played him in 3 of the games, 4 of them.
Speaking of Varus. Speaking Varus. Do you want to play into this?
Samira.
Samira?
Oh, I like it. That's what this is all about. So, Devin, I know it's 2 a.m. on the East Coast right now. I hope we didn't ruin your sleep schedule for this, by the way.
Don't worry, my sleep schedule, it's already quite in the dumpster.
Oh, good. Is it gamer hour sleep schedule?
I don't even know what it is.
So now that we've got the draft, right? This is part of what this is about. You guys are the better gamers here. Give me the epic gamer strats. What am I doing this game?
We don't really get Pyro bot lane, but you can path down and you can Clown Fiesta at level 2.
All right.
2 and 3.
All right, Clown Fiesta level 2 and 3. We're blue side. Maybe a little Raptor start action.
Yeah, I'd say pathing bot looks pretty good here.
Yeah, 3
Alright.
camp bot. They'll never expect it.
Go Varus.
Oh my god, we still don't have to.
Oh,
Nice.
oh, no, I do.
Oh, you're crazy? Nice. I become him?
I'm in bush. You can't see.
What's your like favorite champions? Like they don't have to be the best, but just like your favorite.
There. Like,
People hate me for this, but you me.
No,
I love my-
no.
Wait, actually?
I love turning off my brain.
What?
I like not thinking. It's so I just sit there, put up Netflix on the second monitor. It's just too free.
So am I already better than Low Jazz? Be honest with me.
yeah.
How does it feel to have gone 3 and 2 in the Open Qualifier after being seeded? What were you guys, 25th?
It felt amazing. Honestly, I just want to prove everyone wrong. We were definitely not like a 25th seed. If I could give myself a seed, I would give myself like at least somewhere in the top 16, but not top 10. I'd be doing it.
Hey, I found him. Oh, I suck. I really suck.
let's go.
Oh my goodness. Caster low. You guys are in the group with Aporia and Winthrop and Gentle Hearts. What is like the vibes heading in? Hopefully better than the vibes right in this moment in the bottom lane.
The vibes is can win. I think we can take down Aporia and Gentle Hearts, and honestly our first game versus Winthrop in the second round wasn't even that bad from us. We stood a good shot of winning.
Hawk, do you know how our team got our name?
I do not actually. I would love to hear that.
So we were Sammykin's kittens, and then he left us. So now we're abandoned kittens.
Oh no. What's this guy doing?
Oh, I'm trying to predict
I
it.
love that. I'm going center.
I cannot move, but I'm almost there.
I was unfortunately CC'd by Zach for 2.5 hours.
Me too.
Go center, no barrier.
How's it going in there?
I'm gone.
So what are like your all personal goals for both this qualifier as well as just the qualifiers in general?
I want to make it into the NACL.
What about you, Devin?
Hold on. I'm using my brain power to fight people.
On TP.
Find it.
Nice. Peace. We have Varus over the wall.
I'm just having fun with my friends and trying to be the best that like I can be without committing too much time to it.
Wait, guys, let's all go top lane and see if we can end the game with this Rift Herald. We can spawn so many minions with it.
I'm so down.
On my
by the
way.
Just
Oh
keep
my
going,
god,
just keep
there's so
going.
many.
We have like 50 over here.
Our jungler is fighting for his life.
I am
Okay,
a survivor.
tower.
He flashed on me! Not the Titanic Hydra Zach! F off.
Keep going.
No.
Look on this guy. Wait.
Wait, you guys are just... What is happening?
Wait, we can
I
turn.
think all this game has taught me is
Oh,
that I
I
need to
missed.
see
What
Bel'Veth
the-
support in GSL this week. They
They
surrendered!
have
Oh.
No! Shout out Ben, Chad, and Onu for being the goats and helping us go 3-2. And for my social media, you can find me at PhantomStarsLol on Twitter.
Y'all, thank you all so much for joining me for this. I hope the people out there watching Tier 3 tonight, watching this interview when it gets cut down, get to learn a little bit of something about the Abandoned Kittens bot lane, and they also got to learn that you should definitely not give this duo the Bel'Veth and the Samira combo. We're going to send it back to the rest of the show, but Devin, Phantom Star, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, that one was a lot of fun. Shout out to the Abandoned Kitten bot lane one more time for joining me for a little Riverhawk talk. But now we are into the part of the show where we begin to look beyond our Open Qualifier and into the group stage. 16 teams remain, with each of them being slotted into 4 groups of 4. Matches will be played in a best-of-3 double elimination format with Fearless Draft, by the way, in which 2 teams advance from each group into the knockout stage.
Yeah, and then once you get past there, you get 20 points for every best of 3 that you win, all the way until the finals. 5 points for the Swiss matches, as you said before. And also, winning your group actually gets you 10 bonus points to make sure that everybody that wins all of their games are rewarded as much as they can. And so you'll win 20 points for every stage after that, including the playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And then after both qualifiers have concluded, as we mentioned earlier, the winner of OQ2 and the next 3 teams with the most points will advance to that coveted NACL promotion tournament.
Yeah, and there's so much action left to be played. So many points up for grabs, starting with this group stage for our first tournament. So let's take a look at those groups, and we'll dive into each group individually in just a moment. But before we move on, Grapes, I figure we want to maybe give some initial thoughts because there's some craziness on this graphic.
Oh, these groups look so weird, man. You have Group A and B that just have Team Fish Taco and Winthrop in the 2 seeds because that is what happens when your top 2 seeds go 3 and 2. So a little bit unfortunate for BlackRock and Aporia, who get rewarded with playing 2 very, very strong teams. And let's not sleep on CCG and Gentle Hearts as well, who are also in those groups.
Yeah, there are some groups of death planned out here. Abandoned Kittens, it was good to hear that they're feeling confident about their chances in Group B, but that one is looking stacked with talent. Over in Group D, you got like Lotus, UCI, and Wang, who all like kind of beat each other in the Swiss stage, and now they're going to be playing against each other in groups. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of action, and maybe we started off with Group A as we can take a closer look. It's going to be BlackRock, Team Fish Taco, CCG, and Clown Gaming. The number 26 seed, after going 3 and 2 Grapes, they are rewarded with a very difficult group to start things off.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for them that this is just kind of the situation that they're in. Fortunately for them, they beat CCG pretty easily in the Swiss, so they're probably feeling pretty good if you are BlackRock. Robbie Bob, obviously, that was a game where he went off on the Corki with like a capital O, F, and F. Taco, in the midst of this group, is in a bit of an interesting position because we thought personally that even though they did finish 3 and 2, their losses were all very competitive, and so I personally still think they're going to be a very, very strong team throughout this tournament as a whole.
Yeah, this is a team that we still have high expectations for. They were our number 2 seeded team coming in with good reason. This is the core of a Team Ambition team that performed exceptionally well last summer together. There's no reason to believe that Team Fish Taco should struggle, but they do have to prove it because BlackRock, as we already said, they looked absolutely fantastic. Robbie Bob at the top of his game, the entire team firing on all cylinders. I think they were pretty undisputedly the best team in Swiss. TFT needs to overcome that, and that's not even to mention the other 2 teams in this group.
Yeah, I feel a little bit bad for Clown Gaming. They had the miracle run. They had that big win in round 5 against Purdue, and their reward is playing against these 3 teams. But when I did get the chance to talk to Paragon, actually, the AD carry, and he thought that Fearless Draft actually gives these lower seeds some advantage every once in a while because of the fact that without like the big meta picks always on the board, you are able to play some unique things, and that could maybe throw off some of the top seeded teams that are here in this group.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, Grapes, we've seen number 32 seeds make the top 8, so who knows? Maybe Clown Gaming could do it this split. But unless we have any other thoughts about this group, we can just head on to Group B if we want.
Yeah, Group B, also an interesting one, especially because, as we said before, a ton of very strong teams going 3 and 2. Aporia, not one of them. They did end up losing in that final match. That does put them at the 2 seed as being the highest seeded 4-1 squad. And they're in a group with Winthrop University, Gentle Hearts Gaming, and, of course, Abandoned Kittens, who Hawk, you're a little bit more familiar now after getting to play a game with them.
Yeah, I mean, a team... Honestly, I feel like, especially Abandoned Kittens, they had some pretty impressive wins over some good teams. I do think they can be competitive in this group, but really, I think similar to Group A, we're looking at Aporia and Winthrop to be the main favorites. This was our number 3 and our number 1 seeded team coming into the Open Qualifier. They should be the strong contenders to make it out. Gentle Hearts, of course, maybe going to have something to say as well as the Abandoned Kittens, but to me, it would still be an upset if it was not these 2 teams that advanced.
Yeah, I just, by the committee, 1 and 3. Both in this group, which is a little bit surprising. Gentle Hearts, I think they have some very solid players and had some good performances in the Swiss stage, but let's go back to the Abandoned Kittens again, Hawk, because you talked to their bottom lane, but the top side of this team, solidified in Low Jazz, finally get their opportunity
finally
to make
made
it
it.
into a group stage. We have a bit of a graphic just to showcase the grind that these two specifically have been with together. They've always played on the same team, and throughout the entirety of 2023, they entered all 4 Open Qualifiers, twice on Des Moines DMG, twice on single target healing. All 4 times they went 2-3, losing on that last game to potentially get you in. And new year, new them, Hawk. They finally did it. They finally got to the group stage.
Yeah, and it was really funny talking to Devin and Phantom Star about this as well, because Phantom Star, brand new, you know, young kid, just happy to be here, you know, I want to do well, whereas Devin was on those 6 Sense teams as well, and even though Devin had made top 16 previously with AoE randoms, has shared in some of those struggles with this core of players, so to see them finally succeed, I mean, really, congratulations to Solidified and LoJazz, 2 players that have been on the cusp for a long time, and it really feels like they finally made that step.
And we saw both of them have very good performances in the highlight packages that we even watched a couple of minutes ago. Solidified had a great Gwen game. LoJazz on the Jarvan just went crazy. That doesn't include some of the other clips that we weren't able to show just because there were so many games. Solidified in that first game had an enormous CS lead actually over Barrick, who is now in this event in his group here on Gentle Hearts. But let's take a look again at the group as a whole. Just to once again finalize our thoughts kind of on Group B, do you still think it's going to be Aporia and Winthrop, or now are you kind of drinking the Kool-Aid of some of these lower seeds?
I mean, look, Grapes, I would love to drink the Kool-Aid, and I like all these teams, but I do think expectations need to be managed. Aporia and Winthrop are, to me, the favorites. If anyone else gets out, that is a big deal, and we will celebrate them as such. But I think this is Winthrop's chance to say, hey, you know, the last couple games in Swiss were a fluke. We are going to bring it back. You know, we were just trying some stuff out. Whatever it may be, Aporia, likewise, I would have these teams personally at the top.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really got the chance to talk about Aporia too much here. They are so stacked, top to bottom. 4 of their 5 players have been in either Academy or NACL over the past couple of years. 3 of them, Rovex, Music, and Lynx, were just in the NACL this past calendar year. So you're talking about people who have had that kind of experience at the next level and now coming back down here to Tier 3 to try to earn their spot again.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of really great players, a lot of great talent. Group B definitely going to be a competitive one. But now let's turn it over to our next group, Group C, where again, I mean, this is going to be the running theme. A lot of great teams. These ones, I think, a bit more filled with some of our more surprising teams, Grapes, but teams that we think can hit higher ceilings than we initially anticipate. Ole Miss Esports, Morningstar White, Polestar, and Pookie Bears making up this group.
Yeah, we actually didn't get to see a single game of Pookie Bears throughout watching those highlight reels, but they actually beat Morningstar White in the first round.
They're the only ones.
That was the only loss that they suffered, despite beating some really, really talented teams, even like Winthrop, the #1 seed in the entire event going in. But they're a team of very high-ranked solo queue players, very similar actually to Morningstar White, and that's why they kind of got seated around the middle of the pack in terms of the committee, and they were able to accomplish something. They made it into this group stage, and I think when like looking at some discourse online about what these groups look like, this was one of the quote-unquote group of life teams, but I don't necessarily see it as that because Pulse and Morningstar, alongside Ole Miss, who we expect to be very good, both had very impressive runs in the qualifier.
I was going to say, I don't see this as a group of life at all. The only way that this is a group of life is because I just think that all 4 of these teams are very good. So anyone can beat anyone. Not that there's not like an overwhelming favorite necessarily. I mean, dare I say, Grapes, the favorite of this group, based on Open Qualifier performance, might not even be the first seed.
Oh, Morningstar White.
They looked really good.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge like some of these teams' performances because Swiss results are first of all best of ones.
Right.
And also if you're a very high seed like Ole Miss was, if you lose one game very early like they did to Reluminate, the rest of their road wasn't that hard. They had to play some like 20 seeds, and then their last game that they won was against Gentle Hearts. Morningstar, on the other hand, had a grind to get to 4-1. So they're just coming from different directions, and I feel like that might be kind of swaying our perceptions of them just because where they were initially seated. I think both of these teams are going to be very strong, but I wouldn't necessarily rule out Pulse either because they also had some very impressive games, even though they did, lose to Morningstar White.
Yeah, and we'll get to talk about the schedule a bit later, but like, how hype is this first round matchup between Morningstar and Pulse? Two teams that I think, have a lot of great developmental pieces, a lot of really talented players that if they're able to perform above they were seeded a certain way with the assumption that they could perform either better or worse than they were seeded. So far, it looks like both of them are performing better, which is really exciting.
Yeah, for Pulse, except for that one game where you got a bunch of kills. But
we don't need to. Yeah.
I'll put you on the spot. You want to predict which two teams make it out of this one?
Ooh, Grapes, this is tough. I don't know. Am I being boring? I think it's Ole Miss and Morningstar. Even though we were talking about how competitive this group is, and I think Pulse and the Pookie Bears have a very real chance to make it out. I do think that Ole Miss and Morningstar are, in my opinion, two of the stronger teams remaining in this tournament, not just in this group. So I feel pretty good about their odds to advance, despite how competitive I expect the matches to be.
And yeah, very, very crazy stuff out of Morningstar White. We actually have a graphic that we forgot about because we were just so busy talking about these 4 teams, but a very inexperienced roster as well. Take a look at this. Across all 5 of these players, like 3 of them, this is their first OQ ever. Pika Pika has played in a couple of them before, and Soul was on one team in the past, was on actually a different Morningstar iteration, but the fact that they're just all able to come together, go 4-1, and look like one of the scariest teams in the entire tournament is just a testament to how skilled they are each individually.
Yeah, they got more LP than my life savings, Grapes. That there's some high numbers right there. I mean, Yuchin in particular, player we've talked a lot about, probably a player we're going to talk about more.
Absolutely. Very, very exciting stuff out of a new team, which we always know there's going to be one of them, and it looks like for now it's going to be Morningstar White. Let's move on to our last group, though, Group D, who also have some exciting teams, and I think is going to be a very competitive group in terms of which teams are going to potentially make it in there. You can pull up that graphic right now. Group D having Lotus, UCI, Wang's Revenge, and ISU.
And another very exciting group. Grapes, I'll be controversial. I think this is the group of life, but still filled with really good teams. Lotus, UCI, Wang, Illinois State, a couple collegiate teams knocking around in here. And like I said as well, all these teams beat each other in the Swiss stage, which I think is just going to make for some grudge matches moving forward. I mean, I know from talking to Cinna, he was like, yeah, I don't want to lose to Lotus again. Like, I played well, and our team, it was a close game, felt bad for that to be their only loss of the tournament.
We did mention, though, it was their only loss, and that is not something, Hawk, that UCI would have been able to say in the last couple times they entered the qualifier. No. It's been a bit of a rough patch for them, as we have a graphic to kind of just talk about how excited we are to watch UCI here. They finally get a really good opportunity to do something great.
Yeah, and they have a legacy of winning. I included the image of them winning the CLOL championship. Not to date everybody here, but 5.5 years ago in 2018. They've been winners, and this team has a legacy of that. But in 2023, it was a rough road. LA Comic-Con was a mediocre showing, and then some bad looks in 2023 throughout the spring qualifier run, as well as CLOL. So for them to go 4-1 with some quality wins over some great teams in Swiss at this tournament is a great sign, as they are running back the same roster that they had last year.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, this is the same 5 players that went 0-2 in CLOL in the first round and then didn't make it in the first 2 qualifiers despite being seeded in the top 16 both times. And I know that performance definitely hindered some people's thoughts on how well UCI was going to be able to do in 2024.
Are we projecting here, Grapes, that it hindered some people's thoughts on how they would perform?
Mine included. I definitely was a little bit more hesitant, and they absolutely proved me wrong, which I'm excited to see because I think there's a lot of very strong players here. And a lot of very strong collegiate players as well, especially in this group. But let's just take a look at how collegiate did overall, Hawk, because 8 teams out of the 32 were competing colleges, and that's a really exciting thing to see.
Yeah, so much CLOL representation. I mean, Grapes, we've gotten really well versed in this space recently, and it was 4-4 for as far as qualification. Ole Miss, UCI, Winthrop, and ISU qualifying, and unfortunately, Purdue Northwest, Bethany, University of California, San Diego, Yeah, and Oklahoma Christian, unfortunately, not making it through, but very competitive between these teams. And I expect to see some of those teams that may be in the red on the right come back and try to do something impressive because, I mean, the amount of talent in the CLOL space at the moment is through the roof. And it's great to see that we have some of our top seeds coming out of that area.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see 3, even maybe 4 of those teams make it to the quarterfinals. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take. Let's pull up that Group D one last time just to really finalize our thoughts on this as a whole. What do you think is going to happen here? Because we have 2 of those 4 collegiate teams, UCI and ISU, both in Group D.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about 3, maybe 4. I would say UCI, one of the favorites for me to make it out of this group. I think they played exceptionally well in the Open Qualifier. Cinna and Gorka in particular at the top of their game for me, getting to watch through some of their games. ISU, I never know what to expect from this team. It feels like they're always at this level, Grapes. They're always at the 3-2-2-3 level, and they frequently find their way in group stages, oftentimes getting knocked out. I actually don't know if they have made a top 8 in the last couple of years, but they're always in the conversation, and they are one of the teams that feels like they can beat anybody, but I don't think I expect them to survive this group.
Yeah, I got Lotus and UCI. I think even though Wang and ISU are both very strong, and I think this is a very strong group overall, I thought Lotus actually also had a very, very solid 4-1 showing, including that win over UCI and some of those other ones as well. So I guess those are our predictions for some of the groups. But again, with how crazy things went
can I be controversial for a second? I want to give a hot take right here. I want to give a hot take.
Okay.
I think Wang's Revenge makes it out of this group. I think it's UCI and Wang. I think it's UCI and Wang. I think Lotus is still like a really strong contender, and they're probably on paper the favorite. I like this Wang's Revenge team a lot, and I like what I saw from them in the Open Qualifier, so I'm going to put my money on them.
Talk about collegiate. There's 2 collegiate champions up on Lotus that you're disrespecting right there.
I know, but I got, I can't just predict the 1 and 2 seed every time, so.
It's looking good for UCI specifically, according to us, and for a lot of these teams, they're going to be exposed to a little bit of a new look in terms of what to expect in the NACL qualifiers, with the introduction of both playing on Season 14 for the first time and also playing with Fearless Draft. And in order to predict what exactly is going to happen, I got the chance to sit down with a number of players on all of these teams that are competing in the GSL to see what they thought about some of these new changes.
I mean, I actually like Fearless Draft a lot because I don't know if you've been watching LCK, LCS. It's a little cringe.
Fearless Draft is pretty interesting because I think it kind of exposes people with bad champion pool.
I actually watched a bit of LDL and it was really fun watching Fearless Draft. So it is, I think, going to be exciting, especially because drafts are really stale.
Instead of seeing like Maokai Sejuani every game, we get to actually play some like different champions. I think that's very exciting.
I only have to play 1 game of Rumble, thank God.
It just means it's a lot harder to prep drafts because instead of writing out maybe 20 lines or 30 lines, it's 150 if I want to do every line possible.
I think it's a big buff for ISU because every player on our team is willing to pick everything, especially me and Cameron.
They would start target banning Robbie Bob so I can finally start carrying. It felt like they forgot that I can actually carry too.
I think the map changes are kind of interesting. I like the new map. I like the new item system. I think overall Season 14 is probably the best one we have so far in 3 years.
At first I thought the grubs were really OP. I think 6 grubs don't win you the game, but they definitely help punish the enemy's mistakes if you get time on the turrets.
If you're blue side, you can gank bot very easily, but you can't gank top unless you're diving. And if you're red side, you can't really gank bot that easily, but you can gank top pretty easily.
Whether your bot's red side or blue side, taking control of that tri bush is an extra timer I didn't have to do before. Instead, I could just take the river.
If you have any semblance of vision mid, you just can't die. It's impossible.
If you get solo killed as a mid laner, that you're just really bad at the game. Me included, honestly, because I've been solo killed.
Bot lane screwed. Did you see the changes to the win rate? Blue side 70%, red side 20 something.
Red side does feel pretty bad to play if you're playing a losing matchup, but I actually do like it overall. I think it just allows for more flexibility in the game, and for drafts, I guess, to get played out more.
Champions that can abuse the strong items right now are what is going to be strong in the meta right now.
Hubris and Profane. Every game. Just spam them.
Every champion that played without is just really broken early game, and also the items are really cheap. I've been running this Draven build of Dirk, Trinity Force, Collector, IE into like semi-tank. I think it works really well.
I think Riven's OP because of the items that kind of got introduced, like for early game, like Eclipse. I think it's like the best item in the game.
Sundered Sky Eclipse with Ingenious Hunter. I have used that occasionally. That's pretty OP, I think.
I played a game of Karma. I think Karma is going to be pick or ban 100% every game.
I just miss my Sunder and Gore Drinker. They were the best things of all time and just let me carry on jungle while doing nothing.
And welcome back, everybody. I mean, so interesting hearing so many different players' thoughts. Grapes, I know for me personally, Season 14 has been maybe like a little bit unbalanced, but so fun, so fresh. Like, I really like the direction that they went with this season. It's been a great time. Really cool to hear the players' thoughts. But we do have 10 minutes remaining and a few more segments to get to on those 10 minutes. As Grapes, starting things off, we now have 16 teams remaining in the tournament. We're going to do this every single week. Power rank the remaining teams as far as where we think they'll be. So we can pull those up on your screen. You can all flame us on Twitter for this because, Grape, we've got some hot takes here.
Completely our opinions. Nothing really came into play other than that. Obviously, we ranked them where like the 5-0 team was first, where BlackRock, I think overall just had like the best week as a whole. And then we basically ranked all of the 4-1 teams and then all the 3-2 teams after. A lot of ups and downs. Only one team, Pulse, stayed the same in the seeding than in our power rankings at the end of this first week.
It's so funny looking at this. Like, all the top teams moved up, all the bottom teams moved up, and then everyone in the middle kind of went down. Is just how it worked out. Grapes, we've been talking about Morningstar White. We put them at number 3, UCI at number 4. Our opinions of these teams changing so dramatically. TFT and Winthrop with their 3-2 showings ended up dropping. I know that this is broken up essentially by record so far. However, I mean, based on what we were seeing, like, we talk about BlackRock going 5-0. This was just clearly the best team. And teams like Ole Miss, UCI, Lotus looked so good on the weekend.
Yeah, Ole Miss dropping because of the fact that the strength of schedule playing a role a bit. You know, they didn't play a ton of super highly ranked opponents, like only had one win against the top 10 seed in the Swiss. And so we decided to give some love for Morningstar, UCI, and Lotus for now. That could, of course, change depending on how things go throughout next week. And I think the bottom half was actually the hardest one for me for us to do, just because of the fact that like there were so many different teams that like had all these different levels of performances. CCG coming down to 10, also a similar story as to we thought their strength of schedule wasn't super strong. They lost some games against some top teams, but then their wins were not necessarily that impressive.
Yeah, and we showed some love as well. Abandoned Kittens at 13, really nice to them. Clown Gaming sneaking into the bottom. Again, feel free, flame us on Twitter all you want, but we're going to move on now to another segment we're going to do every single week called the Team of the Week, where Grapes and I have gone through and essentially nominated the best player, or at least a player that deserves recognition for each role for the weekend of games. Now, given that there were 32 teams and 80 games of Swiss played, this was very difficult for the Open Qualifier, but we have decided on Morningstar White's top in jungle, Yushin and Sol, BlackRock Esports mid laner Robbie Bob, Ole Miss's AD carry Shogo, and Lotus's support Mixture for the Team of the Week.
Yeah, all these players on teams that went 4-1 or better. Another big shout out to the Morningstar White team as a whole, but specifically this top side. Maybe we're coping a little bit just because it's like a compensation of like ranking them low in the committee to now like just like putting them really highly in terms of what we think of them. But Yusin mechanically, I think it might be one of the best top laners in the entire tournament. You saw what he did to Denethor on that Fiora, who's a player that we have held in very high regard, and him alongside Sol's Talon ended up taking down the Eagles in round number 5.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout out as well. Mixture, a player we've not talked about as much on the show so far today. Really big performance on things like the Senna that we saw in the highlight package earlier. One of the best weekends of support gameplay I think I've seen in the qualifiers in a little bit. So shout out to Mixture. Going to be a big part of the reason why Lotus looks to go far in this tournament. But let's take a quick look at the upcoming schedule for next weekend. We got a whole host of games. The first round of GSL going to be playing out. Unfortunately, none of the games will be streamed live, but of course, we'll have community streamers uploading the games after the fact if you want to catch any VODs. And we'll be right here on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific for Tier 3 tonight to break down all of the action just in the same way we have this evening.
Team Fish Taco versus CCG on day number 1 is not something I think a lot of people would have expected. However, that's just how the group stage goes at this point. And on the other side in Group B, also some pretty exciting matchups. I'm personally looking forward to Gentle Hearts versus Winthrop. I think that'll be a pretty fun one. Although we do think maybe Winthrop's maybe a little bit more favored, should be exciting nonetheless. As we move on to our second day as well, because all 4 of these groups do play. It's just one on Saturday, the next on Sunday. These are the other matchups, Hawk, that we're looking at this week.
Yeah, again, Morningstar White Pulse going to be a big one. Lotus up against ISU. I think another exciting one. I mean, honestly, all these matchups definitely going to be very, very exciting. Grapes, if we had to pick a match of the week, though, I don't think we have our graphic for it, but we can still do it. What's got to be the match of the week?
I think we're looking at it right now, and it's in that bottom right corner. UCI versus Wang's Revenge. UCI having a very impressive 4-1 finish. We think of them very highly, as you saw in our power rankings. Wang also doing pretty well, despite going down to 3-2. But when you look at the players on each of these teams, a ton of crossover. UCI players kind of running rampant throughout Wang's Revenge. Their mid laner Debonair and their support Cerulean both playing on that team, although not on the main roster, which maybe they want to prove was a mistake as they face off against the Anteaters tomorrow.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a little bit of civil war between these two teams, and only in the most fun way for sure. I already said that I think Wang has a really good chance of moving out of the group stage with some good play from them, so I'm excited to potentially see it. UCI against Wang's Revenge, definitely a game we're going to be breaking down here on the show. Again, same place, same time next week. But Grapes, we have one final segment planned for you all before we go out, and it's going to be a fun one, as I know you have taken the liberty of selecting our top 5 plays of the week. I have not seen them yet, so we're going to have a bit of a fun known/live reaction breakdown.
Yeah, let's do this. Top 5 plays of 80 games of Swiss. We're going to start off with Team Fish Taco versus Pulsar. We watched this in our highlight packages, but I just wanted, once again, it wasn't one player doing something good, Hawk. It was all 3 of these guys, Snow, Sudsy, and Levitate.
Yeah, like, just look how smooth this is. Like, the buffering of the CC, the re-engages, playing on the edge of ranges, the dash flash, Levitate, are you kidding me? It's just too clean, man.
Yeah, really good stuff from TFT. We move on to our number 4 play, which maybe a little bit more of a one-sided game, but we did have a pentakill in the OQs. We didn't get to talk about mobility on the Aphelios against the Abandoned Kittens. Ended up picking up all 5 at the enemy nexus.
Yeah, you know, the weekend may not have ended the way that they wanted to, Grapes, but it certainly started that way. Mobility, still one of the hottest up-and-coming talents we have here in the region. I did see this clip beforehand, and yeah, getting a penta, and I believe it was the first game of Open Qualifiers. Dominant win. Great stuff from Winthrop.
Yeah, they ended up beating some lower-seeded teams, but Chaotic went 2-3, and here, Abandoned Kittens, they're in the group stage, so shout-out to Winthrop there. Our number 3 play, again, we saw this already, but a big shout-out to Yusin on the Olaf. 1v3! It don't mean a damn thing.
Just Olaf things. Doesn't even need the axes, by the way, to kill these people. Just picks up 2 kills, no matter what.
All right, we got number 2 here. We're going to go back to Pulsar, but this time they're on the positive end of things. Take a look at this teleport. It's a Rel coming in on the flank. Just kidding.
Oh.
It's Reppy. A huge Pop Blossom to win them the fight.
Oh, Reppy, that was so nice. I mean, no chance right there for the Grubbians. Reppy, a player I've been really impressed with. You know, we both had our concerns about them, and it's great to see that they have had a great weekend so far.
And maybe no surprise, our number 1 play of the week came on the last game of the day. UCI versus Team Fish Taco, and Light Pulse leading the charge.
I mean, I love this play because, like, finding the engage is cool and all, but let's talk about how Light Pulse got on that flank. How did he end up at the enemy red buff in the first place and then to find the 4-man engage? Like, the stars just aligned. That is literally why people play tank supports, and I love the zoom in slow-mo because, yeah, Light Pulse, take your roses.
That's our top 5 of the OQs. I'm sure we missed some, so if you do want to call us out, there was a play that we didn't end up including here. Make sure to add us on social media. But Hawk, that's the end of the first episode of Tier 3 tonight. We hope you all had a good time with us as we broke down the first week of this NACL qualifiers, and we'll be right back here, as you said, next week for that GSL stage.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fun, most certainly. I want to give a huge shout out first and foremost before we go, though, to our production who put in so much work behind the scenes alongside us. Camcom running VMix in the background. We've also got Cyanids doing so much work. All the graphics that you see entirely created by her. Such amazing work. So shout out to our production team. Grapes, shout out to you for joining me on this show and coming along on this journey. And shout out to the viewers as well. We'll be back right here, same place, same time, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, to break down the first week of the GSL stage. Again, complete with highlight packages, fun content, and even more. It was a hell of a ride through the Open Qualifier stage this past weekend. So many games, so many teams, and we've only just started the journey for 2024. But for that, we're going to go, and I bid you all a good night. I've been Hawk. That's been Graves. Have a good night, everyone.